Hey guys, welcome back to New World Carpentry Solutions. Right now I get to unveil my very first dado set, and I'm extremely happy about the one that I chose. First time I saw this one was over on Jonathan Katz's channel, and this is the CMT Interlocking Dado set. This one can cut full width dados being 13/16, and I forgot what the smallest one is, but I think it's probably about a 1/4 inch. I'll look at it later. But it comes with a full chart and a set of interlocking spacers and a couple different shims. I have a few magnetic ones and two different sizes of various thickness shims. These actually work out so that we can achieve any width that's on the chart. I believe they go up by 16ths all the way starting from, I believe it's a 1/4 inch. It might be a little bit larger than that or smaller. It goes all the way from a 1/4 all the way up to the 13/16, and it gives you pretty much the increments to achieve every cut in between. You either by using the interlocking spacers. Some of these dado widths don't use the interlocking spacers, they might just use chippers. But another key thing that I really love about this dado set, even if you're not using the interlocking spacers, which have a really cool design, they just have like a diamond shape cut out with a plastic extrusion, and that plastic extrusion pretty much interlocks into each one of the individual blades or chippers, and that allows you to pretty much get the perfect offset and keeps the blades from moving or spinning whenever you try to set it up on your arbor. Because I did use a dado set maybe like 3 or 4 different times on my buddy's table saw, trying to make sure that all your carbide teeth have the proper offset, and especially when you're trying to tighten down the nut on the arbor itself and you have your blade spinning or moving around on you. But the one thing I think is really ingenious, even though some of these dado widths don't need the interlocking spacer, they actually have a little notch out on each one of the chippers and even on the main 2 outer blades. These notch outs actually receive the next chipper or the next blade, so actually pretty much it doesn't have any room to move. And even when you're not using the interlocking spaces with that diamond extrusion, it actually just interlocks inside of the blade before it. It's pretty ingenious. I probably should have done a close-up on it, but if you can imagine this, the first blade might have the carbide, the next section after the carbide will be just a piece of steel with a pretty much a notch out, and the next chipper carbide would actually fit inside of that notch out, and then pretty much you'll keep stacking your chippers in that orientation. That did not sound clear. Probably gonna have to make a whole nother video on it, but it's a pretty awesome system, and I definitely love it. The next thing though, I also picked up a couple of zero clearance inserts over on the internet. I believe it was Amazon. I don't remember exactly which Amazon person I bought this from. One thing I will say is they did not use MDF, and I definitely wish I picked one that was MDF. I'm assuming that this is slightly oversized because of the fact that this is actually wood and not MDF, so it probably swelled a little bit throughout shipping or whatever else. I imagine they cut this all out on the CNC, but again, being that, you know, it's wood, it probably swelled. So my option was to try to trim it over on the router table using my existing throat plate. The existing throat plate is actually a lot smaller than the actual opening. It has a little spring clip on it to make sure it's tight, and these do not have that. So I didn't know that before I did my initial routing, so all my inserts actually end up being a little bit loose. So instead of buying more, because I kind of needed this now, I end up actually just using blue tape, which works as a great shim, and pretty much just wraps it around. I'm later going to make my own zero clearance inserts, and this blue tape trick will actually give me the perfect fit, so I can use the router on my newer ones. So this is going to be a nice temporary fix. If you guys ever have, make your own zero clearance insert and you're worried about it fitting perfectly, you can always make it a little bit larger with blue tape, a little bit of trimming and stuff afterwards, and it's a perfectly fitting insert. This blue tape trick also works for mortises. Let's say you're trying to actually mortise out, let's say a lock set, and you want it to be a little bit loose. You can actually add blue tape to the actual lock set itself, so that way you know that your mortise will be a little bit wider than the lock set itself. Or if you make a jig or a template and it ends up being a little bit too large, you can add tape to the inside of your template to make it a tad bit smaller. As long as you make sure that your bearing is running along your template and at the cutting edge, then you won't have to worry about tearing up the tape. Again, blue tape is a godsend inside of a shop. You can do a lot of different things, and one of them just happens to be making sure that your zero clearance insert fits nice and snug. And as you guys can see here, I can raise the blade up and it works just awesome. And I will say, my first time seeing the dado stack spin on my table saw, and I definitely want some overhead dust collection. The amount of sawdust that this thing is throwing back on me is not acceptable. So I now have the wind dust collector, so I can actually split off to do multiple ports on the saw. I do plan to build some type of overhead dust collection boom arm situation, so all that will be coming in future videos. But if you guys have enjoyed me setting up my first dado set, please make sure you guys let me know down in the comments, leave a like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.